Good evening. This is the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Choma Innocent, and here are the top stories. Trump plans mass deportations and end to birthright citizenship. Night dialects Nigerians about malware stealing banking details. And NPCL insists Port Harcourt Refinery over 90% completed. Court grants Dele Farotimi 50 million naira bail, and Obasanjo reveals war against corruption must start from the top. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The World News at 6 begins outside the shores of Nigeria, where United States President-elect Donald Trump has announced plans to deport all immigrants living in the United States illegally over his upcoming 4-year term. In an interview aired on Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press, Trump detailed his vision for a broad crackdown on illegal immigration, which he intends to classify as a national emergency upon taking office on January 20. According to Reuters, the Department of Homeland Security estimates that as of January 2022, over 11 million people are in the U.S. without legal status. During his first term, Trump attempted to dismantle the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, which provides deportation relief to this group, but was blocked by the Supreme Court. Trump also plans to issue an executive order to end birthright citizenship on his first day in office. The policy, which grants citizenship to anyone born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status, is rooted in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution and reinforced by an 1898 Supreme Court decision. The president-elect acknowledged potential legal challenges to his proposal and suggested that achieving this goal might require a constitutional amendment. Back home in Nigeria, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, has alerted Nigerians about a banking malware which targets users globally through sophisticated phishing campaigns. The advisory was released by NITDA's Computer Emergency Readiness and Response Team today. According to the agency, the new version of the Grandoriro is a significant threat using advanced techniques including screen overlay attacks and remote device control to steal sensitive information such as banking credentials and personal data. NITDA explained that the malware is primarily distributed via phishing emails and fraudulent websites that deceive victims into downloading malicious software disguised as legitimate updates or documents. NITDA warned that the malware could lead to financial losses and identity theft. The agency urged the public to exercise caution and adopt recommended security measures to mitigate the risk. NITDA recommended avoiding links and attachments from unknown emails, downloading software only from trusted sources, and enabling multi-factor authentication to secure online banking and financial accounts. The agency also emphasized the importance of keeping antivirus software updated, avoiding public Wi-Fi for financial transactions, and regularly monitoring bank accounts for unauthorized activities. In the meantime, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has insisted that the new Port Harcourt refinery is over 90% completed. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPCL, Melekiari, stated this today when Labour leaders from the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) visited the facility in Rivers State. You will recall that after a long delay involving at least 7 missed deadlines, the NNPC finally activated the 60,000 barrels per day phase 1 of the Port Harcourt oil refinery. The rehabilitation process for the total 210,000 barrels per day refinery began in 2021 after the federal government secured a $1.5 billion contract to fix the facility, which had been left decrepit for years. NNPC had initially failed to make public the liters of petrol, diesel, jet fuel and naphtha the refinery will roll out in negation of global best practices. However, citing public criticism, the National Oil Company later said it was refining 1.4 million liters of petrol per day, an extremely low figure by all estimations. Human rights lawyer Dele Farutimi has been granted bail by the Ekiti State High Court. The court granted Farutimi bail in the sum of 50 million naira with a surety of the same amount. The court ruled that the surety must possess a landed property and adjourned the matter to January 29, 2025 for further proceedings. You will recall that Farutimi was taken to court by Chief Afeba Balola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, after being arrested by operatives of the Ekiti State Police Command on charges of defamation. The arrest sparked outrage across the country, prompting civil society organizations and the Nigerian Bar Association to call for the activist release. Some Nigerians have expressed anger after human rights activist Dele Farutimi appeared at the Ekiti State High Court in handcuffs. Men of the Nigerian police force had escorted him to the court today. Reacting to Farutimi's court appearance, activist lawyer Deji Adeyanju posted on X, formerly called Twitter, and I quote, "Shame on everyone involved in this embarrassment to the legal profession. A lawyer in handcuffs over defamation, not armed robbery, kidnapping, or any crime. No wonder they abducted Dele Farutimi and took him to where Baba Afeba Balola is king, Ekiti," end quote. Former Nigerian President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has asserted that the fight against corruption can only succeed if it begins with accountability amongst top government officials. Speaking during an interactive Zoom session, Obasanjo emphasized that tackling corruption at the leadership level sets a critical example for the entire nation. Obasanjo stressed that leadership must lead by example to demonstrate genuine commitment to transparency and integrity. Describing corruption as hydra-headed, Obasanjo noted that it has deeply permeated Nigerian society and requires relentless efforts to combat. He stressed that fighting corruption is not a one-off effort, but a continuous and daily endeavor requiring sustained commitment across successive administrations.
And moving on to party politics, former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has called for collective action to address corruption destroying Nigeria's development. Peter Obi said corruption is the bane of the country's development. He decried the high rate of corruption in all sectors of the country, particularly amongst the political class. He stated this in a statement in marking the International Anti-Corruption Day 2024. Obi stressed that Nigeria cannot achieve its potential without killing corruption. Now, the Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party in Ebonyi State, Comrade Richard Mwafo, has advised former Vice President Atiku Abubakar against pursuing a candidacy in the 2027 presidential election, saying the party needs a new breed of people to mount its leadership position. He urged Atiku to stop his asserting that such a move would have promoted equity, fairness, and social justice within the party. Now, in a recent development, the 2024 Edo State governorship election, specifically the Election Petition Tribunal, has commenced its inaugural and pre-hearing session to determine the fate of the suits seeking the removal of Governor Monday Okpebholo. The tribunal is set to hear 7 petitions challenging the Independent National Electoral Commission's declaration of Okpebholo as the winner of the September 21 governorship election. One of the petitions was filed by the People's Democratic Party and its governorship candidate Asoe Godalo, who emerged second in the election. The Labour Party's candidate Olumide Akpata came third in the results declared by INEC on September 22. The petitions before the tribunal allege irregularities and discrepancies in the election process, which they claim affected the outcome of the results. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we head into a news analysis segment. And we're being joined in the studio with Mr. Peter Anosike, who is a political, national, and social affairs commentator, not a barrister, as some of you actually refer to him. And he'll be giving us his insight within his professional capacity to respond to some of the questions posed at him. Do kindly stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. You're still listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Mr. Peter Anosike, good evening, and thank you for joining us today on the World News at 6.
Thank you for having me.
Olusegun Obasanjo, what would you say to this audio? Just give us a very few minutes to describe that.
Haruna's victory at the court,
Okay.
at the appeal court, was bought with some millions of dollars.
Okay.
So for me, I don't know how authentic it is, but I read it as every other person
Did.
did.
So you're not very certain about that information, despite the fact that it's on WikiLeaks. The reason why I'm asking is a lot of persons did not know about that. It was the detention of Dele Faritimi and the entire opera with the whole book thing and the expose made in that book that made a lot of people begin to research.
You are talking as if WikiLeaks is the Bible. It is not.
Okay.
It
So
is
you cannot
not.
authenticate despite the fact that it's coming from that particular website.
It is not the Bible.
Okay, so you cannot authenticate. That's what you're saying. You
Yes,
can't actually
yes.
give more credence to that information.
Sure.
But we do know, we've heard a lot of information, a lot of stories concerning how elections go in this part of the world and how judges have been implicated. The judges themselves have actually alleged that they're usually being stressed, threatened in most occasions by these politicians for the judgment to go their way, for the judgment to actually take the side of the said politician. We've also heard Nyesom Wike at some point in time actually boast, of how the legal practice is and affirming to certain persons that the legal system is not the problem. It is the lawyers representing some of those people who do not know how to place their case properly within a proper court of law. What would you say to that?
Well, I know that we have a compromised and a corrupt judicial system.
Okay.
But this particular case, because Bonnie Haruna was there around 2003 to 2007.
All right.
So it's a very long time. So I don't know why it should be coming up now, almost 20 years that's after.
All right, so all is not well with the Autopilot Group, which is the breakaway faction of the indigenous people of Biafra. As Dr. Ngozi Orabweze, the chief of staff to Mr. Simon Ekpa, the acclaimed prime minister of Biafra government in exile. Apparently, there's stories, or rather statement on this report, that she has overthrown the principal. And this is from an insider source familiar with the development. This was through Newsband newspaper. This report came. Now, it's coming barely a month after the Finnish government announced that Ekpa will remain in detention as his trial is scheduled to start in May 2025 after he was arrested for terror-related activities. Ekpa was taken into custody alongside 4 others suspected to be financiers of terrorism-related charges or inciting terrorist-related activities. Now, here is the thing. Ngozi is a former chairperson of the People's Democratic Party in Atlanta, United States. Also, the source revealed that some changes in the cabinet of the newly redeclared United States of Biafra in Finland was done. Now, apparently, the group's Minister of Finance, Mr. Okechukwu Inkere, was abruptly removed. The sudden change is said to have infuriated other members of the cabinet, more especially Simon Ekpa's Minister of Information, who goes by the name Simon Ekpa Akparawa. Now, the source told this newsband paper that Ngozi masterminded the subtle coup so as to avoid what happened in IPOB after the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu. So, the question now is this. This group says they're fighting for the realization and actualization of Biafra, the proposed utopia of the Biafran nation. And we're already seeing internal wranglings when they just declared 40 states of the United States of Biafra, although we've not actually had anything circumspectly true about what they're saying. What would you say about this? Is the organization not organized? Simon Ekpa, didn't he see this coming where he put in place certain persons and mentioned their names? So how do people relate with this group of persons and their authenticity or seriousness in the movement that they organized?
For me, to start with, there's nothing like a united state of Biafra. The whole thing is a scam. The whole thing is a scam. Simon Ekpa is a scam. All those names that you are mentioning are scammers. What they are struggling for is for money and nothing more. They are not fighting for Biafra, and they don't have the integrity to fight for Biafra. So all the names I'm hearing you mention now are just names of scammers.
You don't believe in whatever it is?
They are scammers. All the names that you are mentioning are just scammers. So there's nothing like United States of Biafra.
All right. In a very recent exchange of words between presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga, he had an exchange with the Katsina businessman Mati Shehu, who tackled the president on Sunday night, just yesterday evening. Now, Onanuga shared on his X handle about President Tinubu congratulating Ghana's president-elect John Mahama. Reacting to Onanuga's statement, Shehu, who is very critical of Tinubu's government, said he hopes the president would also have the courage to congratulate anyone who wins the 2027 presidential election. Onanuga felt the comment was in bad taste and responded accordingly. So this is what he wrote. Are you a stargazer, or have you already written the 2027 election result? In politics 101, we know 24 hours is a long time, not to mention 2027. For now, the president is not bothered by 2027. He is focused on his economic reforms, and I can assure you that the economic indicators are showing that he is succeeding despite the temporary challenges. What would you say to this?
I know that Onanuga will be bitter by that. It means that you want to cut short his bread. Understand? Because he had been under the weather for a very long time until Tinubu remembered him just a year ago. Understand?
Okay.
So he wouldn't want anything that will put sand into his garri. That's the vice president, the current vice president in Ghana showed the spirit of sportsmanship. He congratulated all the winners just within 17 hours after the election, because why? The election was free, fair, credible. Nobody is going to court. Nobody is challenging anything, which is far different from what we normally see in this country. So this is another example that Africa is getting it right. Understand me? Okay. Because George Weah of Liberia did the same thing. Understand? That's where opposition parties are taking over from ruling parties in good faith.
Okay.
No contest, no fight, no intimidation. Nigeria should need to go and learn from Liberia and from Ghana.
Okay. They need to learn from Liberia and Ghana. But you recall that INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakub was saying that Ghana actually learned the procession of the elections through Nigeria.
You can learn from a failure.
People were actually criticizing. He faced a lot of backlash for making that statement. They asked him to have some shame, that he should not open his mouth while the Ghanaians are celebrating their victory. And even if a lot of critics or a lot of persons are complimenting the process, he's not in the right position to make any statement and relate the elections recently conducted in Ghana to the elections that were conducted in 2023 and the follow-up of off-season elections afterwards.
As you rightly said, he needs to cover his face in shame.
So you're saying that Ghana did not learn from Nigeria in conducting credible elections?
You have nothing to learn from Nigeria INEC except have to rig election.
So why would he make that statement? Why was he compelled to say something?
Because he's shameless. He is shameless.
So you agree with the critics giving the backlash?
If it is in other parts of the world, he will have accounted for that 300 billion that he wasted. Because 2023 election was just a waste of Nigeria resources.
All right, Mr. Peter Anosike, IPOB on Saturday, all right, because I'm going back to that one in a different conscription. INEC on Saturday insisted that Biafra territories cover Edo, Kogi, Cross River and Bayelsa states. IPOB made the remark while faulting the Pan-Niger Delta Forum PANDEF and an Igala group for condemning the inclusion of the Niger Delta and Kogi state in the Biafra territories. Now you know that recently PANDEF had warned the proponents of the Biafra Republic against including communities in the Niger Delta or South-South geopolitical regions in the secessionist plans. Now the Eastern Senatorial District of Kogi State, which spoke through a group under the auspices of Igala Youth Council, condemned the inclusion of the state in the secessionist agenda. The group noted that the viral video of IPOB outlining their plans for a 40-state Biafran nation was not only laughable, but a joke taken too far. While the spokesperson, Emma Powerful, said, and I'm going to quote what he said, the myriad of statements purportedly emanating from some of these recruited faceless individuals on social media and belatedly from alleged Igala groups and PANDEF dissociating themselves from Biafra is not only pathetic but laughable. For the 1,000th time, we wish to make it abundantly clear that ancient Igbo land spans 13 states of Nigeria. These are not areas occupied by Igbo-speaking people, but are ancient Igbo land with Igbo people in them. Therefore, the hate-inspired, politically motivated gerrymandering of borders in Igbo land to create the misleading impression that Igbo land and Igbo people are confined to only 5 states of the southeast is a lie. This IPOB shall confront and will continue to confront until the truth is not only acknowledged but acted upon via the instrumentality of a United Nations supervised referendum, as was the case in Southern Sudan, the newest state to emerge in Africa. Mr. Peter Anosike, when the 40 states of Biafra was announced by the Biafran government in exile, a lot of persons criticized the other states that were included. These states actually held space to condemn them being part or conscripted as Biafran nations. They say that they are their own nations. Pandef is one person. Even the Ijo group on several occasions have come out to dissociate themselves from the Biafran conscription. So, if these persons refuse to identify themselves as Biafrans, then why the insistence? And if they are going by the ancient demarcation or the ancient mapping, well, now there is a new map. And these people have found a world of their own. So why the insistence on these individuals or this group of persons when they say they are not Biafrans? Is it a by force thing?
Well, Nnamdi Kanu's first degree was in geography.
Okay.
So he may know what a lot of people don't know because he studied geography. And mind you, when the amalgamation of Nigeria was being made, most Nigerians were not consulted. Most Nigerians were not consulted. But I know that when Paul Unongo was the president of Arewa Consultative Forum, and the Benue people were being killed, understand? He ran back to the east, that the southeast are their brothers, that they should not abandon them. I'm talking of Paul Unongo.
Okay.
Understand? Who was the president of Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, then. And the Fundanis were killing them. He ran to the east. He ran to Enugu to Ohane's office and said that Igbo should not abandon them, that they are brothers. Understand me?
Okay.
So we can also draw a lesson from there for somebody who is highly positioned under Paul Unongo. But you don't force people to belong where they don't want to belong. Understand? If somebody said that he doesn't want to be a member of your ethnic group or your region, you let him be. So, and for me, all these are rhetorics.
They are rhetorics.
It doesn't mean anything.
Are you very sure?
Very, very sure.
Because the back and forth has continued over time. For example,
because they have time to waste. They are not busy.
Okay, so hear this. Imapafo went on to say that those in Igala and Pandef that claim they don't want anything to do with Biafra must also know and accept that Igbo land in these territories go on, and the British ceded to the north, Midwest, and the so-called South-South will eternally be Igbo land, and no Jupiter will change this irrefutable fact. When the Nigerian state balkanized ancient Igbo land by carving these territories into their newly created non-Igbo states, nobody complained because IPOB had not come by then. Now that God has determined that we must come, we IPOB are here, and we say without any fear of contradiction that Igbo land is one and indivisible. Last week, the same IPOB actually distanced themselves from conscripting certain states, specifically when Pandef said they will not be allowed to be driven or be named as part of a group they refuse to be recognized or identified as. And the same Imam Powerful said, you know what, it is not us. We and the government in exile are not on the same route. We're not on the same agenda. We don't have the same vision. So how come Imam Powerful is refuting and insisting that indeed Edo State, Kogi State, Bayelsa State, these are Biafran states going by the ancient map?
Okay, excuse me. Ohaneze Ndibo has 7 states.
I don't understand. Ohaneze Ndibo.
Ohaneze Ndibo.
Can you explain what that means? Is that a different faction of the entire Igbo group?
Ohaneze Ndibo, which is the apex Igbo socio-cultural organization.
Okay.
They operate within 7 states.
Okay.
That's they call five states in the southeast. Then Delta and Rivers.
Okay.
Just like in January 2025, somebody from Delta will become the new president general of Ohaneze.
All right.
Understand me? So Ambassador Ralph Uwechi of Delta State, between 2010 and 2014, was the president of Ohaneze Ndibo. So these are the 7 states which Ohaneze operated.
Okay.
And for me, these are the Igbo states. Understand me?
All right.
Then Uganda, their language is their greetings is Mewa.
Okay.
Understand? Mewa, which we Igbo don't greet.
Okay.
Understand me? So for me, these are just jobless people trying to be relevant.
All right.
That is the way I see it. So all these things are forcing somebody to me. We have a lot of more serious things to do.
So you feel that they should not be pushing this agenda. A couple of people feel that the 5 regions are enough for whatever it is. Biafra
I
is
say
all about.
Ohaneze and Igbo, they recognize Apex Social Igbo organization operate in 7 states.
Okay.
Delta and Rivers, where we have Igbo speaking people. Understand me? So they shouldn't. Even there was never a time, even when Gowon or Juku Azikiwe were alive, these areas has never been in contention or been among the Igbo states.
Okay.
So these people who are called vagabonds coming to create all this confusion, I'm not really happy
about
with it.
All right, you talked about us having better and more serious things to discuss right here in Nigeria. We cannot deny that corruption has been the bane of Nigeria's existence for a very long time now. Speaking on the sidelines of talking about corruption, former President Olusegun Obasanjo came out to say the fight against corruption must start from the top. He says it's not a one-off effort. He said a lot of things about fighting corruption. But the question is this. We're going back to the WikiLeaks document that's tying him to a 30 million naira bribery of 5 judges in 2004, right? When he was Nigeria's president. So when you look at it, this is the same person who has been criticizing the policies of this administration. Some people even see him as a saint because Nigerians had a better purchasing power during his administration. But right now, from what we are seeing, it seems that even his own hands are not clean. 20 years down the line, he's telling us to fight corruption. How does that happen?
Obasanjo has never told anybody that he is a saint. And the background that he came from, Obasanjo is a soldier. He's not a seasoned politician.
Okay.
He's not a seasoned politician, and he has never told anybody that he is a saint. But he managed our economy better than people who were not barrack boys, which is a feat. Understand? And we know that there's inbuilt corruption in any government. Whether local government, whether state or whether federal, there's inbuilt. You can never be in power for 24 hours without being stained. It doesn't happen.
He has not addressed this up till now. He's not spoken anything about it. His media team has not come out to say maybe it's true or it's a lie or they're just trying to defame him or anything like that.
So I say you cannot be in a political office for just 24 hours without being stained.
So we overlook the corruption and just focus on what he did with Nigeria's economy.
So what we are talking about is the magnitude of corruption. Understand me? The magnitude of corruption under APC, it is way, way high. That is the concern. Understand me? Somebody that stole 1 million naira, somebody that stole 1 billion are all thieves. Understand? But one has more hope than the other. So the corruption in APC government is far higher than what we saw in the PDP. And that reflects on the state of our economy today.
Mr. Peter Onosike, let's look at the tax reform bill. It's a controversial one that has actually caused quite the conversation across several sectors and amongst all the regional, all the regional groups that comprises Nigeria at this very moment. The question was being asked as to why the Southeast has not said anything yet. While the Southeast has been quiet about the tax reform bill, why they have not shown any form of interest, why they've not lent their voice to either criticizing the tax reform bill or supporting the tax reform bill. Well, eventually, the Senate caucus called for wider consultations before the passage of this bill. The Southeast caucus in the Nigerian Senate has actually also failed to endorse the controversial tax bill of President Bola Tinubu, which is currently before the National Assembly. Now, Mr. Peter Onosike, let me revamp your state of, political leaning. The president has exhibited or exuded an aura of someone who does not care about what a lot of critics say about his administration. In fact, he is not pandering to the northern criticism or supposed northern show of support of some of them, specifically the Arawa. The president is very confident in what he's doing and doesn't seem to care about 2027. Questions are being asked to the president. Why are you not concerned? Aren't you bothered? But there are others who feel that the president has a strong political strategy to align himself whereby he would achieve the feat in 2027. He doesn't care. And the Senate has said they'll pass this tax reform bill, despite the fact that he has stepped on toes. Do you think that with this attitude or this aura, that there is something we do not know that the president knows, and he's very certain that if at all he wants to fly the flag in 2027, he will get it?
The issue, they're saying that then why, if he doesn't care, why did he call for a revisit of the bill?
Well, there was a lot of uproar around it.
Which means he cares. Which means he bowed to pressure. So saying that he doesn't care is not true.
An APC chieftain on several occasions have always conscripted that the APC would win the 2027 election. And if the president intends to even run till 2031, he will obviously get it. Do you see that being a possibility?
Well, our focus is on the tax reform bill.
Well, with the tax reform bill, these are deciding factors that could actually engineer the prospect of that time.
And for me, I want to say that the tax reform bill is a good one.
Okay.
Understand? It is a good one if it will be allowed that to be passed into law as it is. Because now the goose that is laying the golden eggs are not having that eggs.
Okay.
Understand me? But with the tax reform bill, now an instance in the present bill, the derivation is just 20%. Understand me? Population 30%. Understand? But in the new reform bill, derivation is 60%. Understand me?
Which is actually the cause of the controversy,
Which
derivation.
is the cause of it. Then if you are the one that is producing, your soil is being degraded, your environment is being spoiled, and so on and so forth, you need to get something extra. Somebody in Bayelsa, somebody in Rivers shouldn't, understand me, that their soil is going down on a daily basis that can neither farm nor fish.
Okay.
Understand? There's no way somebody in Kogi will be getting more than him or her. And that's what is happening now. That is what is happening. Those who are not producing are enjoying what they are not producing, while those who are producing are suffering. An instance, in the VAT sharing formula, they say that their religion is against alcohol.
Yes.
But they are benefiting from VAT that are accrued from alcohol, which is wrong. Which is very, very wrong. And okay, the tax reform bill exempted many Nigerians from paying taxes, which is also a good one. But the truth is that many governors are not creative. Okay. This Armageri system of government that we are practicing has made many of them to be docile and indolent. So if not, this will have engineered creativity among them.
Yeah.
But they don't want to work hard. They don't want to think outside the box. But let me tell you, the North is going to win in this tax reform bill.
You're very certain.
Very, very certain.
Okay, well, let's see how that goes. Finally, before we let you go, the publicity secretary of the PDP in Ebonyi State, Comrade Richard Nwafo, has advised Atiku Abubakar, the presidential flag bearer of the PDP in 2023 general election, against pursuing a candidacy in 2027. He's saying that the party needs a new breed of people to mount its leadership position. I'm sure you know that there have been talks, all right, within the back doors about some sort of measure taking place. As of yesterday or 2 days, yesterday precisely, there are about 15 groups of persons, 15 persons from different political parties who want to merge, and the idea is to float a Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Nasir El-Rufai. The idea is to unseat Tinubu in 2027. Again, now the problem is this particular float of Peter Obi and Atiku, that was the same flag that was flown in 2019 and they did not win. How are we certain that if at all that flag is flown in 2027 that it would go? And they're also telling Atiku to not even consider running again, because all the time he has decided to, or he failed, that a new set of persons should come on board, and that Peter Obi, whatever he had gained in 2023, may not actually be the next resolve to pitch the PDP as a strong opposition to fight the APC or topple the APC in 2027. What's your take on that? Okay,
that's to start with. An Oba in Lagos here told me that anybody, that I'm talking of 2019.
Okay.
That he's convinced that Atiku will be won 2019.
He's convinced that they won.
And Oba told me.
Okay.
But that he will not say it in public, because if he say it, he will be removed within 24 hours. That's an Oba in Lagos told me. Understand me? And I still consider that ticket, Atiku will be, as the best ticket in Nigeria since 1960.
The Obedients are saying they don't want a Peter Obi to deputize Atiku. Another person can deputize. Some people are saying let Peter Obi be deputized to be a deputy to Atiku. Atiku does 4 years. And then the next election, which is in 2031, Peter Obi runs for 8 years, being deputized by either Kwankwaso or Nasir El-Rufai. That's a conscription. But a lot of Obedients don't want that.
It's theory. So
okay.
The Atiku Obi ticket of 2019 is the best ticket that we've had in this country since 1960 till date. If that ticket has sailed through, if Nigeria INEC has upheld that, because in Nigeria it is not the voters that decide who win.
Really?
Yes.
Marco Yakub will tell you something else. He will disagree with what you just asserted.
In Nigeria, it is not voters, but who INEC decides to uphold.
Do you have any evidence to prove the statement you're making?
2023. Understand me? So, if that ticket has sailed through, Nigeria wouldn't be in the mess that we are in that's at this point in time. Then, for Atiku contest or not contesting, it is his right to contest. It is his right to contest constitutionally.
Okay.
Understand me? So, it is him that will decide whether to contest or not. Then it's now behold on the party to say we'll give him ticket or not. Then when he got ticket, it's now behold on understand me. So nobody can intimidate him out of contesting, because it is his constitutional right.
Okay.
But I know that by 2027 he will be 80.
Okay.
And whether the energy to run at that point in time is there or not, understand? I don't know. Understand?
All right. Mr. Peter Onosike, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your perspective with us right here on the World News at 6. We do appreciate and sincerely appreciate your input.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's it on the world news at 6. Just before we wrap up, we'll take a look at the top stories again. Trump plans mass deportations and an end to birthright citizenship. Nigeria alerts Nigerians about malware stealing banking details. And then PCL insists Port Harcourt Refinery over 90% completed. Courts grants Dele Faritimi 50 million naira bill. And Obasanjo reveals war against corruption must start from the top.
Peter Obi decries Nigeria's high corruption rate. PDP warns Atiku from romancing with Peter Obi, seeks fresh blood. And tribunal opens hearing on cases seeking the removal of Edo Governor Okmebolo. That's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku.
And I'm Chioma Innocent. Good evening.